What is going on, everybody? Your man Eric Wilson here on the Sports Arena Monday night. Y'all already know what time it is. Sorry to interrupt the national championship game, but we came first. We do this each and every Monday night on the No Filter Network. The Sports Arena is in the house. Let me go ahead and get the crew in here. I got my diverse bunch of sports enthusiasts, as I love them to call them, because they family. The Queen of Hoops is blessed to join us once again for a very short period of time this evening. But Megan Price, 806 Sports, Dallas Wings representative, is in the building. Good evening, Queen. What's going on? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing really well. It was a jam-packed weekend. And for the first time ever, maybe in my lifetime, the Rangers started out undefeated. Looks like we might lose to the Orioles tonight. So I just got to enjoy the fact that we swept the Phillies. Sorry.
Really? See, I was gonna be nice and not
Y'all
hoping you
have
weren't gonna
not won
bring
a,
that up, but
hold on. Y'all haven't won a game against the Rangers in 17
yeah, I know. That's why I say I hope you won't bring that up. Listen, just be thankful that John's not here tonight because his Orioles,
Oh,
he'd
I
be
know. No,
rubbing
I
it in
know.
all night long. Let me go ahead and get my man, the ASU Sun Devil alum, works up the left coast, the west coast. My brother Mike Caratanudo is in the house joining us here. What's up, Mike?
Man, just enjoying this time of year, and I got to tell you this off the top because I know we're going to get to it. And Eric, please don't pass out because Megan and I will have to finish the show. But I actually heard a very well thought out, intelligent thought and agreed with a former U of A basketball player.
Whoa! You said former? Okay, you said former, so I'm okay with that because former means they actually have some sense now.
Well, I mean, he did go to school there, and he still touts them. But yeah, I almost had to text you to send me like some ventilation or something. But and this is before I knew Megan was going to be on because she's closer, and I know what she does for a living. So I needed her to send me some ventilation too. But yeah, when we get to it, I try to oppose it. I try to be like, no, it's scary. It's scary. But okay. I'm evolving, Eric. I'm evolving.
Always being the best version of you, Mike. Gotta love you. So, I mean, we got a guest here. He's not really a guest of us, but he is joining us, making his debut on the No Filter Network. This is our man, Jay Nelson is in the building, joining us here this evening, man. This brother does the Gauntlet Podcast, Basket Bros, all a part of the Sideline Sports Network. What is up, brother? How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. Good to be back. And let me just say that this episode of the Sports Arena is brought to you in part by the word growth, because Mike just acknowledged something good about the University of Arizona.
Whoa!
In the words of Rocky Balboa and Rocky IV, if he can change, anyone can change.
Okay,
but I want to know who. I want to know who it was.
Well, let's get the conversation going. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
All right, so let's start with what everybody is talking about today, and we have to dive into this. And again, I don't understand it, but I guess for the sake of having a conversation, we're going to talk about it. Let's talk women's basketball, more specifically women college basketball, more specifically the Final Four, more specifically Dawn Staley was not in the championship game. Aaliyah Boston was not in the championship game. What? Somebody help a brother out, because I watched that game between Iowa and South Carolina, and I was just like, anytime I thought that all of a sudden Aaliyah Boston and this team were just going to rally and pull it out, Raven Johnson, I mean, could you give her the ball beyond the arc? Because they were daring that little girl to shoot. I don't mean to, I'm not trying to be derogatory here when I say that, but they were daring her to shoot, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna show you. And I'm like, give her the ball. They're gonna put it up. But Iowa wanted to play the percentages, And shout out to is it Kim Mulkey?
Yeah. LSU, yeah.
LSU. Man, she got some style on her. She definitely does. And we'll get back to her. But Megan, since we got you, man, please talk to me about that matchup between Iowa and the Gamecocks.
I really don't think any of us really could have predicted that. Like, if you are an aficionado of women's basketball, I don't think any of us would have predicted that. Now, Iowa did what they normally do offensively. Like, I was not surprised. Cesano had a great performance. She had 18 points. Caitlin had 41 points. She didn't have a ton of assists.
Oh, Megan, Please say that again for those in the cheap seats. Caitlin
Out of
Clark
10
had
assists,
how many?
41. She had 41. Yeah.
Okay.
And either 6 assists or 8 assists, one of the two, but the stat line was 4 assists. 41, 6, 8.
41, 8, and 6. Yeah.
Okay. So she wasn't quite at a triple double, not too far away from it, but still had an awesome performance. What shocked me out of this though was Iowa's defense. Like, we know that they're a team of shooters. Like, there's Caitlin, Cesano, and a couple others that can at any given moment drop 20 on you real easy. And Caitlin is 30 plus. But that defense, they're not bad defenders, but what I saw that night was like championship level type of defense. Like, that was what Iowa did that night was just shocking to me. And the fact that it also looked like, okay, so this was a rare performance for Iowa's defense, right? Well, this was a rare performance for South Carolina because they looked stunned. They couldn't even adjust. I thought going into halftime, they were going to go in, they were going to adjust, and they were going to come out and do what they did in the Maryland game. Like, in the Maryland game, they looked kind of stunned, but they were getting it together right before halftime. And then halftime hit, they came out and they did what we know South Carolina does. But they just came out. It looked like they couldn't adjust. Dawn looked pissed. Like, it was a rare performance that, when you have undefeated seasons, I think there's all kinds of added extra pressure. And I think this was just one of those moments when they felt that pressure.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, no, I was going to say, you see the Queen of Hoop comes in, she's eloquent and smart because she's a Cowboys fan and she's very smart and she knows her hoops anyway. But the fact that she knows hoops and is a Cowboys fan, I just had to get that in there. But no, I mean, but Megan, you're right. It was a tempo thing. If you watch that game, the first quarter, and that's the one thing, Eric, we didn't even, and I know when we had Megan on last week too, and Ray said, how are we not going to mention Caitlin's 41-point triple-double? And we did, but I mean, like, she lets the game come to her. She did that all season long. Like, she can chuck those threes. If you watched, that's part of the Big Ten I will watch. But in Penn State, sorry, Eric, in Penn State. But she always lets the game come to her. And like Megan said, their scores that first quarter. I mean, South Carolina only put up 13 points. Like, you're gonna have to play defense on South Carolina, and I know. We'll get into that. That's the one thing about Aaliyah Boston all year. Not like she couldn't score a lot of points, but again, defensively, she's there. When she needs to score, she does. Her teammates, she gets involved. And it's the same thing with Caitlin Clark. She lets the game come to her. People are like, well, she had 41 points. The next closest, I think, was next high score was like 19 or 15, whatever it was. But still, it wasn't enforcing the game. And for South Carolina, to Megan's point, like Don Staley's looking, you're down 22-13. You put up 13 points in the first quarter. I only looked at the second half of the season, guys, full disclosure. But South Carolina never just put up 13 points in the first quarter, like in the second half of the season. I didn't even want to look at the first half because, yes, they did have some tough games, men's and women's. Eric, I'm not taking a shot. They do play some teams that definitely don't have the talent or depth they do. But the second half of the season, they never once, I don't think, put up less than 21 in a first quarter, 20, something, whatever it was. And I was just going through that fast because it made me think about that. But yeah, I mean, for Iowa to do that, for Caitlin Clark to hit those free throws. But to me, that's the thing. And like Megan's talking about it, like, you're adjusting, and Colorado, and again, it's not even to bring it back to the Pac-12. If you look at what Colorado did in the first half against Caitlin Clark, like, defensively, they were right there. But in the end, like Megan said, hey, I'm just going to throw the ball to Eric. Boom, score. I'm going to throw the ball to Megan. Cool. You want to double team me? Cool. There's Jay in the corner. Like, there's Cesano down low. Like, that's what they did all year long. And I know, and she deserved the headlines, and the rest of the team around her was a great supporting cast, but she always let the game come to her. And especially in college, to wrap this up for you and Jay get in there, like, that is tough to do in college. Like, when you're the person on the team, like, at any level, it's hard, but in college, it's like, all right, get them the ball. They just let it come. And I mean, hats off, man. South Carolina still had the least amount of losses in the country, and it's a phenomenal season, but Iowa, the first quarter inevitably made the difference.
I couldn't agree with you, Mike. And again, to what you were saying, yeah, Caitlin had 41. The next person was Cesano, 18-3. 18-3, and then she also had 3 steals. The next person after her was Kate Martin, who had 7.
Right.
Like, that just speaks to what Iowa is about. And I've only known them from the Big Ten football side of things. But to see this from a team that I'll be very honest with you. Dawn Staley is a Philly girl. I'm riding with her till the wheels fall off. You know, but I think the one thing that we're not talking about is how quickly Aaliyah Boston got into trouble. And I think foul trouble. And I think that played a major role in her minutes, you know. But then I said, okay, you have a Raven Johnson who put up 13. You've got Cardoso who put up 14. You know, you got is it Zia or Zaya? Zaya Cook, who put up 24. Like these three women were trying to hold this team together to give Aaliyah the opportunity. I mean, she had 8, 10, 3, but for a moment, it just felt like this team was not the South Carolina team that we had watched over the last year and some change, almost 2 years. So Jay, give me your assessment of it, bro.
You know what it reminded me of was, remember the game that Kobe dropped 81 beforehand? He told his teammates, "Don't even bother stretching because I'm not passing the ball." And it reminded me of that. You know, at one point in time in the game, Caitlin Clark had either scored or assisted on 36 points.
Oh, Jay, yeah. Dude. That was the post game interview. Sorry, Eric, that was hilarious. I wish I could have been the court reporter for that. She scored or assisted on the last 7.5 minutes of the game on every point.
On every point.
Wow.
Every single one. With South Carolina, and they were the juggernaut. But every now and again, you run into your match. You just do. And the crazy part about it is if it wasn't, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's the team, but I mean, it was fun. Let's call it what it is. The woman couldn't miss. She was hitting from Curry range. Curry range. You know, she was hitting from the logo. Like that performance was just amazing. And the thing with South Carolina is, and I hated to hear the talk about, the run is over, the dynasty is over, or whatever. But they fail to realize that, granted, Aaliyah Boston's going to the league next year, but they're facing with a superstar. You know, and they win next year. That's technically 2 out of 3. Yeah. You know, I don't want anyone at home to get it incorrect here, okay? South Carolina's not out of it. They still have Dawn Staley. And as long as she's the head coach, they're gonna be contenders every single year. Every single year, they're gonna be contenders. So, but as far as that game goes, Clark was a woman possessed. She just could not be stopped. And I remember because I was in a group chat with Megan, and I was like, Aaliyah Boston in foul trouble. You know, they can't stop Clark. And everybody else, Steve, and them was like, they'll adjust. They did.
They did.
They didn't. And if they attempted or tried to, Clark had a counterpunch every single time. It was like watching a Mayweather fight. The more you try to hit him, the more he dodges and hits you.
And
literally was Clark out there. And I mean, as far as that game goes, props to him. Clark, I believe, is a junior. She might declare. We talked about it last night. She may just go ahead and declare for the draft. But if they get her back, they'll be lucky, and they better win it next year.
Caitlin can't declare for the draft. Aaliyah already did declare for the draft. They have another day to declare. You have 48 hours after the final to declare for the draft. And real quick, before we get off the South Carolina topic, I just wanted to chime in with what Dawn Staley had to say in the press conference afterwards, and just say this is not the first time that her young ladies have been talked poorly about in that fashion. Being called thugs. Never once have I sat there felt like South Carolina plays a dirty game. They play a tough game. They play a physical game. But I have never once, and this is not the first time because we remember the incident with Gino. And so Dawn Staley did exactly what she's supposed to do. She protected her players and she spoke up about it. So I think that's what you're supposed to do. And to agree with Jay, like, they'll be back.
Yeah, I mean, they went to they were in they had that 1 point loss to Stanford, and then, so they were in the Final Four. Then they won a champion. I mean, COVID was in between, I know, but I'm saying Final Four championship, another Final Four. Yeah, when I saw, is it a short-lived dynasty? People are just pathetic on clickbait. But I will say the last anomaly to this game, Eric, the South Carolina bench outscored the Iowa bench. It was 36-4. 36-4. I'm like,
because it was just Caitlin.
38. Pardon me. 38-6. 38-6. And look, people always say that, and it kind of drives me crazy, but it is true. If you saw one stat, you would be like, "There's no way Iowa was within 15 points of them."
And you want to know just how strong, real quick. You want to know just how strong South Carolina is? It's because Caitlin Clark had the game of her life. The game of her life. She was all anyone talked about. And South Carolina only lost that game by 4.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Right. And Aaliyah's still going to go number 1. I mean, I have no doubt.
She will.
So,
all right. And you know what? That's my. I'm sorry. You go ahead, man.
No, that's a good question, Megan, because Mike just said it. Caitlin, and you said it as well. Caitlin has not declared yet.
She's not going. She can't. She's 21. She can't.
She can't declare?
No, she cannot declare.
She's junior. Huh. Okay.
But you have to be 22. You have to play You have to play 4 years of eligibility. And then she has an extra year because she has a COVID season if she decides to use it.
Wow. Okay.
So no, she can't even declare this year.
All right. Well, let's stick.
I don't think.
That's fine. Let's stick with Caitlin Clark and let's talk about the championship matchup because this is where all the talk is coming from, especially after what transpired last night. There were 2 things on TV that you were either watching last night. It was the Women's National Championship for the NCAA or it was night 2 of WrestleMania. Those were the only 2 things on TV last night. I'm telling you right now. So we're going to talk about the first one because, and Megan, I I'm coming right to you on this. How do you feel, not about the aftermath or what was going on during, about the game itself? How do you feel what happened between LSU and Iowa?
Well, first off, I want to say the officiating was atrocious. It was some of the worst officiating I've ever seen. If you're going to hit Caitlin with that tech that they gave her with like 103 left, she was walking into the girls and the ball came her way. So she threw it behind her back so the ref could get it right. No malice intent whatsoever. I didn't even see it as an attitude in my opinion. But so you tee her up, right? But you haven't been teeing up Kim Mulkey. She's been walking on the court during the game, like crossing the lines. Refs are walking by her. She's getting in their faces. And I respect Kim Mulkey because that's a champion right there. It is what it is. Whether you like her personality or not, you cannot deny her success rate. Like, it is what it is. But how did she not get teed up at least 27 times if you're going to sit there and stay on the whistle the same way that you did the entire game? Like, it really stopped the flow of the game. LSU came in with a dominant offensive performance, and I was shocked. This is similar to the Iowa thing against South Carolina. Did you expect I personally did not expect Iowa to have that type of defensive performance. Well, I didn't expect LSU to have this type of offensive performance. Like, they play a very similar game to South Carolina. They have several bigs. They like to stay in the paint. That's where most of their points come from, is in the paint. Usually comes from Angel. She's known for double doubles, whether those are offensive or defensive boards. Like, that's what she's known for. Like, when I watch Angel Reese, I feel like I'm watching Asia Wilson when she was out at South Carolina. Like, I feel like their games are very similar, in my opinion. So I felt like the South Carolina LSU matchup would have been ridiculous because they're built almost the same way. Iowa laid an egg, and let's just be real. It is what it is. Like, they kept up for a while. And then they just couldn't handle the defense that LSU put out there. And then LSU was keeping up offensively, which is strange because they're not 3-point shooters like that. But that night they were. Jasmine Carson, she had the game of her life, game of her life right there.
22 and 3. Yeah.
Yeah. She just had the game of her life. Both Angel and Caitlin were in foul trouble during the game. Like, I hated the officiating completely and totally. You know what though, Caitlin, whenever they were playing Louisville, and I'm a huge Haley Van Lith fan. So Haley Van Lith is, she's chirping. She likes to talk. That's who she is. She's short, she's feisty, and it's It's her energy, you know.
No, Megan, I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because I can't picture, and I watched the Van Lith. Those two were teammates, and I know they showed it during the broadcast. But like the under 19 national team, those two were teammates, and that's what cracks me up. Knowing how, like, that's why I'm laughing at what you're saying, because those two against each other in practice, Eric, you'd have to put them on the same side. Like they would seriously, I think they would kill each other.
Like, I mean, and because Haley is just a competitor to the core. And I said this going into the game, even though I picked Iowa to win the game, I said, don't count out Haley Van Lith, because that person, Kobe didn't just train anybody. And he trained Haley Van Lith. So this is somebody that, you know, has the work ethic and the heart of a competitor. So Haley's chirping. And Caitlin turns to her and she says, y'all are losing by 15, shut up. And it's on camera. You can see her say it, right? And right. Okay, so why are you mad at LSU? Because they're beating you by 18 and y'all are out there, you know, like, if you serve it, you got to be able to take it too.
And I think that's where a lot of, I guess and I don't like even calling it controversy, but I guess that's where a lot of people are like, because, you know, Angel did the whole, shout out to John Cena, she did the whole "you can't see me" with her ring finger, letting Caitlin know, like, no, you thought this was yours, but we fitting to snatch it from you, you know.
Right.
And everybody, apparently, some people seem to be up in arms about this, and I'm just, you know, I really wish the sports reporter without pay, the co-host of the Sports Arena here on the No Filter Network, Ray, was with us, because his article that he put on Facebook today, breaking it all down like anybody's business, really highlights Angel Reese. And I was like, I actually had to look at this thing and be like, wow.
It's not even the first time she's done that celebration. The entire tournament, she was lifting up her ring finger. Like, and I like it. Okay, so one of the main things that women's basketball is missing, and I didn't want to admit this, it was somebody else that brought the point to me, was that, you know, women's basketball is so supportive of each other, right? Okay, but how much money has the NBA made off of, let's just, for instance, the Lakers Celtics rivalry? Right. You need a villain. You need those rivalries. You need that entertainment factor. And so how many people are talking about women's basketball right now? You got to take the positive out of that. I mean, even the BG situation. Okay. All the ugly came out of the world out of the BG situation, right? We saw some ugly, hateful, terrible stuff come out of the world because of the BG situation. Viewership went up and people were talking about women's basketball.
Yes, they love it when it's personal, you know, because, and Megan brings up a great point. It's the reason why in the NFL people would rather watch Cowboys Eagles than say Browns Buccaneers. Why? Because there's actual hatred with Cowboys Eagles. It's bad
that entertainment value.
People love a rivalry, especially if it's like, I'm gonna kill that guy on the other side. If it's that bad, they want to see a war. They want to see a bloodbath. Those make the best games.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's why, like, for years. And Eric, we've talked about this before when we started talking about women's hoop, even before Megan was on the show. I mean, growing up, like, you saw what Gino was doing at UConn. He was getting the best players, and what Pat Summitt was doing at Tennessee. Yes, I was, you know, back east and here out west, so I know what Tara Vonderveer was obviously doing at Stanford back then and still continues to do. But it was Gino and Pat, and that was it. Like, if you were the best of the best, you knew you were going there. And yeah, maybe they got upset in the Final Four or one of them didn't get there, but it's like it was that rivalry. The thing is, and it's so funny, Jay, you bring up like Cowboys Eagles, because see, there's a rivalry and there might be hatred between the teams, but Eric loves me, so it's okay. There's no hatred there. No, but here's the thing. Back in the day, and Eric and I used to talk about this, like Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, up until after the first Super Bowl, until Michael Irvin started getting to him and celebrating. What did Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith always do? Just hand the ball to the ref every time they scored. And people were like, man, you know, it's hard to score. Why don't they celebrate? Then, you know, you have a personality like Michael Irvin. I mean, you even had a guy on the Lions at the time. I mean, and right time, like Herman Moore, who like got in the end zone. I mean, they weren't doing crazy celebrate. It wasn't about it then, but like, guys were still celebrating, and those guys are like, you know, come on, show a little something. They just hand the ball to the ref and jog. Emmitt Smith kept the ball. He didn't hand the ball. He kept all his touchdowns. And then he started taking his helmet off and celebrating. the thing is, and I loved Ray's article, and you're right, I do wish he was here, Eric, because I loved it. But here's the thing. Everybody was saying, like to Megan's point, was ripping on when they started talking about this, saying, oh, well, Caitlin Clark did it the whole tournament. No, she did it to Louisville because inevitably, look, she put up the points and they won. But to Megan's point, Van Lith got under her skin. Like, you didn't see anybody all year get under Caitlin Clark's skin. And somebody like Van Lith. And the best thing about Haley, too, is like she is the maybe the emotional leader, but the feisty leader for Louisville, because she's a type of person, Eric, that could like talk trash about you. Just what I've seen her, like some interviews I've seen, not that she's talking trash there, but she can smile and say it. It's like, the old adage, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. She's saying it with a smile on her face.
That is Larry Bird incarnate.
Oh, 100%. But the one thing I have with Angel Reese is, like, her game is, like, sick. And all year long, she felt disrespected.
Right.
And I get it. And you want to put that chip on your shoulder. But, Eric, what have I always said to you about the tournament? I find it very funny when any seed, and Jay and Megan, I've never told you this, Jay, this has always been my thing since I was in high school. Men's or women's side, if you're a 1 through 4 seed in the tournament, a lot of people think you can win it. Like, facts.
Of course.
Facts.
Absolutely.
Angel Reese is like, yeah, coming to the tournament, nobody thought we can win. You were a number 3 seed. You don't expect me to believe that, because no. But I love the chip. Hold on. I love the chip on her shoulder. I'm just saying, like, I love it. The only thing is, and my point to the Emmett Smith, Barry Sanders, like, Barry handed it, Emmett just walking off with the football, no celebrating, like, act like you've been there before. I don't care that she's throwing this in front of her and, like, the ring thing, but the fact she keeps following her because Clark literally just walked by Van Lith and kept walking. She didn't follow her. She didn't. And to me, that's the difference. And I see what Ray's saying because, yeah, to Jay's point, if you want to have a villain, yeah, a little fun trash talk. I mean, as long as it doesn't end up in, like, punches thrown and somebody being ridiculous. You know me, Eric, I'm all for great, witty trash talk banter. And if you do it, and this is who I agreed with today, Megan, this is my point. Richard Jefferson, who still hates Duke, said Steph Curry hit a few big threes against the Rockets that year, and he shimmied, and then Chris Paul hit one and just looked at Steph the whole way back down the court. Steph wouldn't look at him and shimmied at Steph. Like, if you want to dish it, better be able to take it. I'm all for that. But the fact you just keep following, and again, it has nothing to do with being the old person on lawn. Maybe that's just because how I was coached, Eric, and everything and what I played and who I played for. And some of my teammates, like, there were guys, like, yeah, there were competitors I could not stand. I wanted to walk up to him and be like, how'd that loss taste? Like, I just wanted to be a total just, like, trash talker. So I see where people are saying it, but all the extra with Angel Reese, like, yeah, Caitlin Clark did it.
You gotta know, okay, like, Haley Van Lith even did it to my own team, like Texas. Like, they almost got into a brawl at the end. You know what I mean? Yes. Like, and it is what it is, though. But I personally feel like it's not that much different. Yes, Angel did follow her, and I get that. Like, me personally, I like a little humility in my athletes, but but that's me. We like this entertainment value. People like it. They're talking about it.
So let me go a completely different route than all of y'all on this one, because here's how I feel on the situation. And I'm going to keep it straight across the board. When we see guys go like this on the court, or we see guys do this to another player.
Because it's men.
Or because we do this. Aaron Donald was doing this.
Aaron Donald did it. I said it in my
Super Bowl.
Right.
Plenty of other men have done it.
Exactly.
And we cheer and we applaud and we praise them. But the minute a female decides to do that same level of, I'm going to let you know who I am and where I'm at and what's fitting to happen, we start to throw shade. And I, as someone, and Megan, Jay, Mike, you all know this, I am a huge advocate for women and more media attention in sports. I love this. As far as I'm concerned, and y'all can say whatever you want, because as I always say, I ain't a hard man to find, especially now. I'm going to tell you straight as the wheels are rolling, I wanted more of it, because to Megan's point, from Brittany Griner to Candace Parker going to the Aces, and Stewie and Sloot going to the Liberty. Now we have these two superpowers in the WNBA, to Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. What is the common denominator? We are talking about women athletes. Someone from the someone in the Chicago area once said, we need more of this. And I said, you're damn right we do. So guess what? We wanted it, we got it. And if you want to love it or hate it, damn it, you better embrace it.
Well, Eric, to piggyback off that too, the South Carolina Iowa game actually had more viewership, I think they said, than the NBA All-Star game.
No surprise.
And I know it's a bad comparison because we all talk how a lot of people feel about the All-Star game, but inevitably, NBA, like basketball fans, I don't gotta say NBA, basketball fans are always going to watch. I mean, I watch because, we know there's no defense. It is what it is. They try and, play a little D in the fourth quarter, and that's that. But it's there to entertain the fans, and it had more viewership than that. But that's what Richard Jefferson was saying, to your point, Eric. Like, yeah, Steph does this. I have no problem with doing it. Expect it back. The Aaron Donald thing, Jay, I thought about that too. That's a great point. I think the difference, though, and Eric, and I'm with you on the whole, like, if men do it and, if men do it, people are like, oh, maybe, but they still look at it as like, really win like you've been there. It's not like Aaron Donald.
Example, though, Serena gets frustrated. She smashes her racket. She cusses. She's mad. She feels her emotion in the moment, and she gets criticized to no end for it.
Right.
But it happens in the men's game like every single.
Well, no, but John McEnroe.
I'll even add on to that, Megan. If Tio or OBJ gets mad and smashes a cooler, he's a diva. When Tom Brady does it, he's a competitor.
Oh yeah, and Brady's.
I'm not going to start. I'm not going
to everything. All right, listen.
I just want to say this about
Mike. We're gonna let that go.
Right,
let it go. I know you're disdain for TB12, but let it go.
No. I was going to say Richard Jefferson was saying, but with Aaron Donald, it's not like he ran up to Joe Burrow. That's all I was going to say to you guys and like stuck his ring finger. Right. He just stuck it up to the crowd, the people in LA, because he got his. So again, is it the same thing? And I did like how John Cena, at least your boy John Cena, Eric, shouted out Caitlin Clark on Twitter. He goes, they couldn't see you, but he goes, even if they could see you, I don't know if they could stop you. I mean, that was pretty cool from Cena.
Exactly. It was now, Mike. With that being said, I want everybody on the panel to realize this. Sure. When Tyreek Hill had the peace sign thrown in his face, and then remember years back when Richard Sherman did what he did to Carrot Tree, I don't even think that got talked about enough as what Angel
Right. No, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Completely agree. We are going to transition to the NBA, but I know the Queen's got to ride out. Megan, thank you so much for being a part of the No Filter Network and the Sports Arena tonight. We will definitely holler at you. Much love to the Queen of 806 Sports. Hey, keep doing your thing and keep grinding. We're going to holler at you.
Absolutely. Make sure y'all check out the WNBA draft next Monday.
Yes. Next Monday night, the WNBA draft. Oh, it's going to be interesting to see where Aaliyah Boston winds up. All right, gents. Since Mike teed it up for me, let's talk about the NBA because we are getting to crunch time. The playoffs are right around the corner. And the Eastern Conference is one. I know last week here on the Sports Arena, we talked about the Western Conference, and we're going to get back into them, of course. But I want to talk about the Eastern Conference. Why? Well, for one, that's where my team resides. And two, I just think that we got to start getting into where we feel that maybe 5 through the play-in tournament, what potentially may, could, should, would happen. And then the question that I'm asking, finally, does Joel Embiid get the respect he deserves and get MVP this season? That is what I want to know from my two brothers, Jay Nelson, Mike Carrot-Tenuto. That's what I want to know.
I'm really pulling. I'm sorry, Big Mike. You want to go?
No, go ahead. All
right. Man, I'm really pulling for Embiid. I really want him to win it. He's come a long way because I remember years ago when he was injury prone, his diet was bad. Shout out to my boy JT. Even he was on the trade Embiid wagon. This dude did a complete 180, and for not just this year but several years, he had been an MVP candidate. They showed the top 3 the other day, and if I'm not mistaken, Embiid actually leads the other 2 in points per game. It's a close race. I'm pulling for him to win it. As it stands right now, Philly would face Brooklyn in the first round. I got them sweeping Brooklyn because they're just a dumpster fire. So, Eric, you can consider that a free series win. You know, so
nothing is free but death and taxes, but I'll take it.
It's going to be the later rounds that tell the tale. But yes, as far as now, I will say this much. And Eric, I remember when you came on. You remember last October when I filled in for you, and you came in and interrupted John and was like, "The Bucks are still the team to beat." That's how they're looking right now. Like it ain't even Boston. That's how they're looking right now. The Bucks are looking like the clear favorite to win the East. So the 76ers essentially got their back against the wall because Boston is still Boston. Cleveland may be, well, I don't think they're better than Philly, but if Spider plays out of his mind, man, I don't know. Even though I think them and them and the Knicks are more evenly matched up. That should evenly match, teams in the Eastern Conference, as is most years with a 4 seed versus a 5 seed. Shout out to John Shear, but his Heat ain't doing nothing this year.
Thank God for small favors. We ain't got to listen to that.
Yeah, matter of fact, they in a playing tournament, and I got them losing to Atlanta. So,
wow.
So, yeah. And then you got Toronto and the Bulls. Shout out to the Bulls. They've been, I know that there's like West versus East, like the West has been the strongest conference for like the better part of the last 25 years. But the Bulls have come back and they've been. I mean, can they do a little bit better? Yeah. Last season they were a little higher. They were a little bit higher than they were. But to see them in a playing tournament, at least in something in the postseason, that's great. I don't have them going very far. Should they do anything? But no. As far as the Sixers, I mean, I'm still pulling for them to win the East. But the Bucks, I mean, they got that beast on the other side. Boston's still Boston, so their backs. I'm not gonna say they're against the wall, but they got a chance. I will say this much: you don't need Harden to average like 15 a game. Actually, I'll take it back. You might need him to average 15 or 17. But if you can get like 12 dimes, 10 to 12 dimes, you're in good shape. Embiid gonna give you 28, 30.
All right.
Now
we're not even, and we haven't even scratched talking about Tyrese Maxey or the rest of those guys, Tobias Harris. I mean, Megan's favorite player, even though she just left, one of her favorite players, PJ Tucker.
Here we go.
I mean,
PJ.
No, but Eric, Tyrese Maxey, I was going to go to him. I mean, I know Jay's saying that, he doesn't need to average 15, but you look at, obviously Embiid's averaging 33 and 10. Harden's averaging, 21 points, 10 assists. And then you got Maxey at 20, 20.6 and, 3.6 assists, 2.9 rebounds. But I mean, look, you can spread the ball around, and the fact of what Embiid can do. I mean, I will say this. I mean, look, I know Milwaukee was coming off a back-to-back, but still it's late in the season. But for Boston to whoop them by like 700 points last Sunday, Eric, that was – I mean, look, guys getting in foul trouble or not, I mean, Boston – look, we know they can play on the road. I mean, that's the one thing. The Boston can play on the road. Can Milwaukee? Yeah. Am I going to let a blowout say, oh, you know what, Eric? I was saying all this about Milwaukee. I'm totally off there. It's all Boston. But I'm with Jay on that. I mean, Philly, look, and to your point, Jay, I mean, Eric and I have had this conversation before because Shaq and Chuck just ripped Embiid. They're talking about his diet. They're like, this is a guy literally, like Shaq saying it. He goes, I have no fight in this. I remember when they were on NBA Tonight and they're saying it. He goes, this cat, he goes, he could average 35 and 20 a night, 35 and 20. And that's just from being him, like doing his thing. If he wanted to, he could go 35 and 20 a night. And Chuck says he'd go 40, 20 a night. And they were harsh on him. And I know people, have gone out, and saying it. And then I remember like for a few games, because I remember texting you, Eric, I go, I guess these guys do watch and listen because Embiid's been on fire ever since Shaq and Chuck called his ass out.
Exactly.
And that was the thing. But look, I know the injury thing, and Eric, I get sick and tired, especially, and not to pick on John, but when anybody says injury prone, like you play a sport, injuries happen. Like, yeah, it sucks, but it happens. And yes, maybe some guys have unfortunately hit that injury skid a little bit more. But look, this is a Philly team to me that can match up with them. Now, yes, when you have Giannis, who I will say, whatever, you want to draw straws, but is the best player in the East, and it's not maybe by much, whatever, but Giannis is Giannis, and Embiid is right there as well. The way the Celtics play team ball, like that second round matchup that we're headed for, whether it's, it'd be a second round matchup, whether it's either the Celtics and the Sixers, or the Celtics or the Bucks and the Sixers. Like, that's just insane. That's like worthy of,
Well, no,
and again,
it's not. No. The only way the Bucks, because average right now 1-3, the only way the Bucks and the Sixers are
no, I said if the Bucks go to 2, I'm saying potentially, because the Celtics are at 2, so 2 and 3 are going to be on the same side,
right?
And then yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, so yeah, I should have clarified. Thank you. No, but that's what I'm saying. So whoever finishes second, because you look at the standings, and I think Philly's 3 games behind Boston right now for the number 2 seed, but they're 2.5 up on a Cleveland team that first round series against the Knicks will be interesting, Eric. But yeah, man, I think MVP wise, to answer your question, like, look, Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, they're all obviously most valuable contenders because they are important to their team. I mean, look, Jokic sat, and we saw what it does. It's not even the fact that they lose a game by 10, 15 points, but it's you don't have to account for somebody that can get in the lane, that can dish it out, that can go and just make those layups with barely leaving the court, whatever. But it's his IQ, it's their IQs, it's the game. So, but yeah, I think, and to Ray's point, like we always say, like voter fatigue, but I don't think there's fatigue for Jokic. But what Embiid has done this year, all year long, like, yeah, to Jay's point, I think he earned it, Eric. And it's big for me. It's not about giving it to somebody because, they haven't gotten him for. He's earned it before, and he's definitely earned it this year.
I am just of the mindset that, to me, I look at it as the goalposting. And yes, I'm looking at it from a fan's perspective as opposed to an unbiased media individual. What more does Joel Embiid need to do in order for this man to win MVP? Like, for real. Like, I don't know what else you can possibly. And I know there's probably more out there, but for me, I'm just like, no, this man. And again, I'm not big of saying someone has earned it. I feel like, if you are the most valuable player, then granted, you should be the individual to win the award. But year in and year out, it's like so many times I'm just looking at things, and we can go back and say reasons why this person didn't win or this person didn't win. And I know if, and I don't want it to be the case, should Embiid not, there's going to be a litany of reasons. Probably coming from me. However, I'm if you take the body of work and we're taking this year alone, there isn't anybody, in my opinion, who is the most valuable player than Joel Embiid. Not Jokic, not Giannis, not Anthony Davis. Joel Embiid should be the unanimous decision maker of winning MVP this year.
Well, I'm not saying he goes Steph Curry, but he should be.
Now, if you look at me and say, will you trade that MVP in for a championship? Yes, of course I will. Let me be honest. Let me just say that. But, we get so wrapped up on this whole MVP conversation where we don't truly identify, I think, who the true MVP is because of what they do. And we trace this back to Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes every year puts up, over 4,000 yards, over 40 touchdowns, has his team in the AFC Championship game every single year. So it's like, well, naturally it should be him. But then a lot of times it goes elsewhere, So I don't want, and I think Embiid, without winning the MVP, has fallen into that type of, it's like, oh, well, we just naturally expect Embiid to put up 30 and 15. I'm like, really? That's what we're going to do? But, all right, so I asked last week, and Jay, you weren't here, but let me ask you really quick. With the play-in tournament on the Eastern Conference, so 7 and 8, which would be Miami versus Atlanta. You've already said it. Atlanta, you said, is going to beat Miami in the play-in tournament. Then between Toronto and Chicago, who you like?
I like Chicago. I like the Bulls in that one. Toronto. Toronto's got a slight distraction right now. Nick Nurse doesn't know if he's even going to return. And whether some people call that like a level 1 distraction or a level 10 distraction. I don't know if they're going to return. They don't know if they're even going to retain their coach. But I just feel like the Bulls are a better team.
So that would put the Bulls against the Bucks in the first round of the playoffs. How many games are you giving Chicago? Okay, enough said. Thank you. Now, since you said Atlanta was going to beat Miami, same question. How many games are you giving Atlanta against Boston?
Well, no. Because if Miami loses that game, they'd have to play it. To his point, they'd have to play Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how the play tournament goes. So
you're right.
So if Atlanta wins, they get the 7th seed. Then Miami would have to play Chicago, and that one I would have Miami as the 8th seed. But Miami versus Milwaukee, sweet. It's too much.
That still gives me Atlanta, Boston.
Of course. Atlanta was still a game, but I got Boston in 5.
Okay, Mike. What about you? Running with Jay's interpretation being that Atlanta would be 7 and Miami would be 8. Miami against Milwaukee.
I know they'll hear Jimmy at least once in that series, Eric. They'll listen to him the whole series. They'll hear him once. So I'll be nice to give Miami a game because I think Jimmy delivers there. But yeah, it'd be one game that Miami would get against Milwaukee, and then same thing. I think the Hawks could steal one at home. The Celtics in the first round of the playoffs the last few years. And you know me, I don't look to nitpick, Eric, at ridiculous things. But if there's one thing to nitpick in the first 2 rounds at times on the road, like the Celtics, they played bad, but they just kind of have they let the other team dictate the tempo. I'll say it like that. So I'm not saying the Celtics mail it in because they don't, but they let the other team dictate the tempo. So, I'm kind of with Jay on that. I think they'd both be done in 5. But Milwaukee, I would go with more of a sweep there. But yeah, I say they're both done in 5.
All right. So then let's talk about this 4-5 matchup. Think about it like this. The New York Knicks in the playoffs, not the play-in, the playoffs, facing a Cleveland Cavaliers team that doesn't have LeBron James and Kyrie Irving.
And stole Donovan Mitchell from him. If you think about it, free agency.
Yeah. So, looking at this matchup, is this the most intriguing matchup of the first round for you, gentlemen?
They'd be the 2 evenly matched. I like what Julius Randle's doing. He's averaging 25.1, averaging 35. His field goal percentage is 46%. Jalen Brunson's definitely the distributor that they need. He's averaging 6.2. Field goal percentage, Jalen Brunson's actually hitting 49.1. But Spider is Spider. And somehow I got it going 7. I don't know what it is, but I got it going 7 because didn't D Mitch explode for 70 something? Like
71.
Yes, he sure did. This is a testament to just who that man is. It's been like that since his Jazz days. I'm glad that he's away from Utah, first of all. And he's actually leading his own team. And when he came to Cleveland, I was like, listen, Cleveland's gonna be middle of the pack. But hey, they're back in the postseason. Like you said, no LeBron, no Kyrie Irving, no anything like that. Glad to see the Cavaliers back. But somehow I see this game going 7 games. Because for 2 of those games, the Knicks are gonna remind you that they're the Knicks. Games that they should have won that they'll let get by them, and Spider will steal 2 of those games. So I see it going 7. Somehow I got the Knicks taking the series. So the Knicks should have won it in 5, but it'll go 7.
Oh wow! See, I'm with you on the 7 part, Jay. But come on, man, the Cavs are winning this in 7. Like, if you're saying the Knicks are going to be Knicks, but Eric, to answer your question, in the Eastern Conference, hell yes, it's the best first round matchup. It's insanely the best because, like we said, even if we do get Milwaukee, Miami, and Boston, Atlanta, Like, okay, we know that. Then we get Philly and Brooklyn. And look, I'm not gonna disrespect, my guy. I supported him, Mikal Bridges. That the Sixers initially drafted and then gave to the Suns. Thank you. Or Cam Johnson. But yeah, no, the Sixers definitely, to our point about Embiid, even Harden, everybody's saying, there might be more pressure on Harden to deliver, get them past the second round than there is on Embiid, because knock on wood, Embiid's been banged up, but he still played in the playoffs. Had to deal with Ben Simmons. That being said, like that first round matchup between the Knicks and the Cavs, and yeah, I mean, Donovan Mitchell's Donovan Mitchell. I love Evan Mobley. I watched a ton of that kid, obviously at USC. You just saw what a freak he was, and then you get to the NBA after your first year one and done. And you see these guys put on a little bit of strength, a little bit of weight. I mean, it's just sick. I'm with you. I think, but to your point, Jay, the Knicks being the Knicks, I think that's what cost them a Game 7. In Cleveland, because Cleveland is locked up to 4. I mean, that matchup is locked up. So, it is, right? Well, right now it is, but I mean, there's 3 games left, so there's a lot to happen. That it wouldn't be, Eric. But yeah, I mean, I see Cleveland winning it in 7. I mean, if New York, here's my typical answer: if New York were to sneak it out in 7, and Tom Thibodeau were to work his magic, because we know he can do that in the playoffs, that's not surprise. But yes, my pick is the Cavs in 7.
A true Michael Carrotino fashion. The only way we're gonna ride here on the Sports Arena, part of the No Filter Network. All right, so let's just take the top. I mean, because I think everybody is pretty well set on where they think these teams are going to wind up. Jay, you've already said it. Milwaukee is truly that powerhouse team coming in. Mike, we know Boston can play on the road. And listen, I'm a Philly guy, but of the other teams, do you see a dark horse maybe making a run? Whether it be an upset in the first round that shocks everybody, or maybe in the second round, of the teams, that are not the Milwaukees, the Boston, and the Phillies, who are you giving a puncher's chance to maybe surprise some people as we get deeper into the playoffs? Because it just seems like, to me, yes, the 1, 2, and 3 seeds always seem to find a way, but there always seems to be that team that come playoff time turns it on and makes their way and surprises some people to say, because we know injuries play a part. We know fatigue plays a part. We know strength and conditioning plays a part. But if one team happens to slip up, like Mike and you were saying about the whole Knicks thing, like the Knicks are going to give you a game that they should have won, but they don't. Mm-hmm. What if that doesn't happen? What if the Knicks actually make a run in the playoffs this year?
Yeah, I mean, to answer that, that's why I said, I wouldn't be shocked if the Knicks beat the Cavs, but I think the team to win that series could. I'd lean more towards the Cavs just because, and what Ray always talks about, what do we talk about? Wing defenders, length. The Cavs have that length on the wing that can frustrate three-point shooters, that can make you, and again, if you're going to take twos, if the other team's chucking threes and missing, you know me, Eric, cool, chuck your threes and go 2 for 20. I'll take my 15 for 22s, and you made 2 threes. I'm happy about that. But, I think the team to get out of that. So, yeah, with me picking the Cavs, I would say the Cavs could, just because they can put the ball down low. And to what Jay said, what Donovan Mitchell has done, this year in Cleveland, getting on the same page with those guys, getting away from, we always talked about, and I always think, stuff in the press as this day and age is clickbait, Eric, but getting away from Gobert. Maybe they really didn't get along. It's supposed to be stars, and Mitchell feels like, well, yeah, great. He protects the rim, but we need somebody that's going to put up 15 to 25 points, 20 to 25 points, whatever. But the way he's gelled in Cleveland, what they've done, and like you said, Eric, all it takes is one performance in the playoffs, because, yeah, you're seeing that team, 2 or 3 days later. You're seeing them 2 days later. It's 7 straight games. So if there's one slip up, I love Cleveland's length. I love what Mitchell's done. But, again, just having Mobley there, I think they just get it. So that would be the team to me if I'm, because you figure you have the length. Now, I'm not saying Mobley can hang with Embiid on the outside, or Mobley's going to sit there and, if Giannis is going to stay outside, that kind of helps teams a lot, right? But if they pull Mobley out, but yeah, I mean, it's just that, Donovan Mitchell's not going to be, afraid of anyone, but that would be the team. Those two teams right there, if they get out of the first, because look, if Miami somehow won their series, which I take a vacation from the show until they lost it, Eric, because I couldn't take the vomit coming out of our friend's mouth. But if Miami were to upset, or even Atlanta, it's like in the second round, I think they would have used all that energy. So Miami and New York, Cleveland and New York, to me, would be the two teams that can make the run.
All right, Jay, what do you say?
I would say it's the Knicks. Let's keep something in mind, and I'm going to allude to the late 90s and even the entire 90s. Is the Knicks being good is good for basketball. It's good for the NBA. Much like, when, I don't know, Texas is good in football, it's good for, college football or USC or something like that. When the Lakers are actually good, it's good for basketball. I think people want to see the Knicks truly return. And they may just I'm not having them, winning the Eastern Conference or anything like that. But if it's any team who could make a surprise trip to the Eastern Conference Finals doorstep, it very well could be the Knicks. Granted, yes, I have the Cavaliers taking them 7 games, but at least the Knicks will come out of that series. The Knicks can most definitely, and also keep in mind a few years ago their playoff appearance and everything. It's been a slow process, but the Knicks feel like they're coming back. They don't feel like they're back yet, but I think once they hit the Eastern Conference Finals, they're gonna be like, "Hey, we're back." But then the question will be consistency. We made it this time period, but what about the next year's coming up, or was this 1 year and 9? That'll be the real story. Because everyone's used to the Knicks being the Knicks for the better part of 20 years, But if they can make a surprise run to the Eastern Conference Finals, they will be the talk of basketball. And I say this because the media is East Coast, West Coast biased. New York is a New York team. The Knicks make the Eastern Conference Finals. They will be the talk of basketball for that time period. Not Golden State, not Milwaukee, not anybody else. Much respect to the Sixers. I hope y'all win the East. But if New York makes the Eastern Conference Finals, they will be the talk of basketball.
100%. And Jalen Brunson and Eric, I want to ask you this, Eric, how stupid does Dallas look? Because Jalen Brunson, they didn't want to pay him, and the Knicks did. And you have a point guard that, yes, has playoff experience, was just in the Western Conference Finals last season. I mean, to Jay's point, and he's averaging 24 points and 6 assists a game, and Julius Randle's averaging 25 points, and R.J. Barrett 19 points. So you have 3 dudes, again, just like I'm saying with Philly, that can score. So they have the recipe. But how stupid, Eric, does Dallas look for not wanting to sign him? Because then what? You go out and get Kyrie because what? I need somebody that can handle the ball, in which you had a guy that was very good that can handle it and work with Luka.
Listen, I'm going to say this. Kyrie and Luka together, their record is 4-11. If I'm Jalen Brunson, I'm laughing all the way to the playoffs, because here's the thing. As it stands right now, the Knicks are in the postseason, and the Dallas Mavericks are not. Gentlemen, much love to both of you for being a part of this. I really appreciate it. Shout out to the Queen of Hoops for joining us here tonight on the Sports Arena, part of the No Filter Network. For my man, Jay Nelson, make sure you check him out. Like I said, Basket Bros, The Gauntlet, Pundit's Pundit. He does Confidential. Listen, he is truly, I'll say he's the MVP of the Sideline Sports Network, because that brother does anything and everything. And at the drop of a dime, joining us here tonight on the show. And to my brother, Forks Up, ASU Sun Devil alum, y'all already know the fact that Mike Caratanudo actually agreed with someone from that place down in Tucson.
Thank you.
Is equivalent to me agreeing with someone outside of those names: Mike Caratanudo, Megan Price, Ruth the Truth, Frank Mazzei, and a host of others. I got about 5 more that I love, who share that symbol right there. That's like me agreeing with them or giving them their flowers or their kudos. Because if you ain't in that circle, I don't want nothing to do with you. So for all of us here on the Sports Arena, part of the No Filter Network, we will see y'all next week. Happy Easter, everybody. Stay blessed. And like we said, next Monday night, it is going to be the WNBA draft. Make sure you tune in because that's going to be something to watch. Where will the one and the only Aaliyah Boston fall? We will find out. Everyone have a great night. See ya. Yes.